Welcome to Regrowth's Impact and Influence, where we have Alison Burr from Spices Retreats joining us today. Hi, Alison. How are you?
Good, Lauren. So nice to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We have been spending a fair bit of time together over the last couple of years because Spices is one of our events, one of our venues for our retreats that we hold. And getting to know you in your role, Alison, I'm really, really excited to share a lot that I think we can relate to from your role into the real estate industry. So to get us started, would you be able to just give us a really quick snapshot of what your role is at the moment, but I guess your journey to where you ended up here today?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so my role, I'm one of the senior sales managers at Spices Retreats. How I came into this role, I predominantly look after the corporate market for all their business event needs, as well as rewarding staff and team through incentives. So I span back to 16 years. I got out of university and started working for a hotel group. And I just fell into it and I loved it. And I think I was really lucky that I haven't had to digress and move into a different industry. So super lucky there. But I guess I got to a point in my life and I decided in 2015 to move to London with the 2-year working visa. And I worked for a beautiful historic venue in the event space over there, which I loved, and did a bit of travel abroad. And
nice.
that kind of shaped me now, because I actually met my husband through work over there and he moved to Australia for me. So we've now got 2 beautiful children and I'm juggling full-time role with Spices in a sales capacity with 2 small kids. So yeah, that's where I've come full circle.
Very relatable with that juggle with a lot of us listening today, especially in that sales role, which is such a kind of target-driven, high-performing role, you know, not dissimilar to anyone in a real estate sales role. I'm not going to ask you how you juggle that because that's, you know, such an individual question and, you know, every day is different, right? But I think for me, in your sales capacity, with like measurement of performance is really important, not just for you as a sales manager, but also you're managing a team. How does that work in your space? And for anyone who's kind of listening that has a similar role, what are your top tips for them when you're managing and measuring performance?
Yeah, well, we are measured monthly, so we've got our yearly target. We've been in a really good position in the tourism industry lately because the demand has been there. So it has been quite reactive. So us as sales managers, we really want to see our team back out there, fostering the relationships face-to-face with our clients again, because we know that that's so important, even if it's via Zoom, because we know that people probably have moved like you've moved. You know, you've moved away from Sydney, so we can't just catch up for that coffee anymore. But keeping us accountable to have those face-to-face sales calls to ensure that we're driving new business opportunities to our retreats. And then obviously retaining our existing database. So that's been really important.
And how do you retain, I love that you're relationship focused because I think that's so important, but the retention of your existing clients, how does that look?
Yes, super important. And it actually comes back to how the event is delivered at the retreat. So if the client is happy, you know, we've met their brief from me selling, you know, the retreat for the program, and then the team delivering it super well, we always find that we'll get that client that's really happy like you'll come back to guest house. Or you might say, okay, you've got 9 other retreats in the portfolio, where else can we go? And the beauty about my role is I can cross-sell into all of our retreats in New South Wales. So it really comes down to the communication from me to the team to get that brief right and delivering it seamlessly for the client.
So you've got a lot of trust in your team because you're selling the dream, so to speak, and they have to deliver. So you trust those guys to deliver on what you sell.
If I don't trust them, they're not going to get the business and we're not going to achieve our budgets. So, you know, we do have to have tough conversations with our team and our general managers and our managing director to ensure that we've got the right team on the ground. And, you know, not, then where else can we sort of move them into other areas of the business? So yeah, a lot of trust to ensure that we retain clients and deliver seamless events.
Yeah, awesome. When you're working with new clients now, I'm going to share a story. I don't even know if I've ever shared this with you. So, when you and I first connected in terms of working, like, I was looking for a venue and I'd been looking across essentially all of New South Wales of what we could do. We were mid-lockdown, so I couldn't get out and about and actually visit venues, which made it really tricky.
Yeah.
One of the things that you did that for me was like a real turning point, but like not turning point's the wrong statement, but like helped me make the decision knowing that we could work so well together, was that you picked up the phone and one of the first things you said to me was, Lauren, I have been on your website. I've looked at the videos of what your retreats are about. I understand what you're trying to achieve, and I know that we can work towards delivering that for you. You were the only person in, call it 20 venues, that actually took the time out to say, hey, I've done a bit of research here, and which wasn't hard to do, right? Like, it was all over our website. And I'm going to work with you as a client to deliver what you need, as opposed to other venues that I went to that were like, no, this is the package that we have. And if you don't like it, that's not our problem. You work with what we've got, kind of thing. And for me, when I heard you say that, like, I was like, deal's done. Like, I know we'll be able to work together, because you took the time out to one, research us, but you were there to listen to what we were after. It's such a simple thing that as salespeople, we don't do enough of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Stop and listen.
Yeah.
And just think, like, what's the client after?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to them, like active listening, and also, like, I have a passion for this, so that's why I pick up the phone. And I didn't know about your business, so I think I asked a lot of questions around that too.
Yeah.
I was excited because I remember you were like, we've been here, we've done that, we're looking for our new home away from home. And I'm like, that is our brand. Like,
yeah.
we want clients to come and feel at home. And I remember that about your brief. And so that's why I was really excited to work with you. But I feel that salespeople these days, like people coming into the industry and they're quite young, they're just hiding behind the computer and just getting those proposals out via the keyboard. And there's no connection with the client, first of all. So that's what they're missing. And it's so important. So important to pick up the phone.
Couldn't agree more. We haven't even, like, planned that statement, but it's so true. It's in any industry, right? It's the connection. It's listening to what the client wants. Like, we're all about client experience at Regrowth, and we deliver so many training sessions around that and how you meet expectations before you even need to exceed them. And I think with Spices, I think that aligns really well. It's because you guys, it's the same thing for you, is that importance of that client experience from you through that entire journey, not just, that stops at the salesperson.
Yeah, I know, I'm glad.
So I'm going to just divert a little bit, because you said something a little bit earlier around part of your role is internal team incentives and rewards. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
So in terms of so my role is to sell like an incentive program, say for like a corporate client like Canon.
Oh, great. Yeah.
But yes, we are incentivized as a salesperson. So I've got my nice base salary and then like an incentive to achieve my target.
Yeah.
Spices is a very generous company, but we work really hard. And, if you work hard, you're rewarded. And we do off-sites at some of our properties, which is great, because then we get to learn and experience the property. And that's why you need, that information to, deliver that to your client. So some of the rewards that we get as a team, plus we get like our birthday off, we get discounts for accommodation. Every 6 months, we get a complimentary stay with our partner. So we get an overnight stay and dinner. So it's a really nice reward. And every 6 months, I get 2 a year. It's great.
Yeah, that's a nice little reward.
Yeah.
So forced leave is always really important, I think.
Absolutely. Important to try the product as well.
Yeah, well, it is. It's about product knowledge when you're selling, isn't it? Yeah. Brilliant. Now, tell me, biggest lesson you've learned in your role today that you think is important to share with anyone listening today?
Oh my gosh. I actually was talking to my colleague about this the other day because she was having a bit of, a bit of an issue with one of her clients, and we were just talking about ways around it. And I was like, you know what? Something that I learned early in my career is you can't be everything to everyone, and
Yeah.
you're not going to be for everyone. So you just got to stay authentic. You got to stay, true to yourself, because you are in that role for a reason. Your manager or your company has employed you for that reason. But probably just take a step back and look at your approach, and just maybe that client is just short on time, and like they're just busy, and just have a look at another way of like helping them. And so, yeah, I don't know, just like be authentic always, especially in sales. You have to be.
So true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, like, I think people can see through it
Yeah.
if you're not authentic.
And honestly, it's okay that you're not for that person. And maybe you need to hand that account over to someone else because it's just not working.
Yep.
And just have the conversation with the client, and just don't be offended. But it just takes time. It takes maturity to know that.
Yeah,
And
that's true, because it's easy to take it to heart, isn't it, when someone doesn't like you, so to speak, or like what you have to say, and you can go, oh well, it's not always about you, as you said, like, don't take it to heart.
And I think, like, as salespeople, we're people pleasers, so it's really it's hard. You do take it to heart, but it's okay. You just got to look at it from maybe the client's perspective, that you just need a different approach.
Yeah, because every client's different, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So one approach, especially with what you do, one approach just wouldn't work with every client. So it's not just putting everyone in the same bucket and saying, well, take it or leave it.
Yeah, like, we're working with event planners who do it on a daily basis. We're working with people that don't even book events. We're working with CEOs that are just like, oh, I've just got to organize this for my full team, So levels
like,
of
solve the problem, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so in your kind of career to date, like, we've great lesson, and I think that's a really important one, and I agree 100% around that authenticity. Has there been like a mentor of yours that's had a really significant impact, or perhaps in a place in your career that you go, yeah, that was a turning point for me, and really defining moment?
Yeah, I've definitely got a mentor. I've worked with her from the beginning. So she was a business development manager. I was her coordinator, and she was in Queensland. I was in New South Wales, and she just saw something in me, and she just became a really good friend. But like, professionally, I really respect her and her opinion. So I'd always go to her and like, oh, I'm thinking about changing roles. What do you think about this? She actually employed me with Spices 10 years ago. So
wow.
Full circle with Spices. I've gone off and done a few other little things, and then she re-employed me as I had my kids and said, oh, we're looking for a salesperson. So I thought, oh, I'm really honored that you've thought of me again. Like, I did work for the business 10 years ago and I left. So yeah, she's really shaped me, and she's really encouraged me in my role to have an opinion and to think creatively. And I just really respect her. She's, a working mum. She lives in Queensland. She travels a lot. She's elegant. She's well-spoken. So just, I love our relationship, and I always call on her.
That's awesome. And I love that point you made about, you started with Spices, you went and did other things, and you came back. To me, that's really important. Like, I see your industry very similar to the real estate industry, in it being a small world, and
100%.
everyone knows everyone, and there's very the connections are all interrelated, and when you turn around and you talk to someone, there's always a connection with somebody else, and I would assume it's the same for you guys. So when things don't, like, everyone takes different paths in their careers, and goes to different directions, but it's so important to keep those relationships, isn't it, as you're moving through and progressing in your career, because you just don't know when that's going to turn around, and you need that person, or they become a mentor, or reconnect with them in that same space.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I feel like I've always fostered really good relationships with all my ex-employees, and I really was touched that she reached out to me. And a lot of the same people still work for Spices, and they were thrilled. So it's just been a beautiful journey with them. I've loved it.
testament to you, I'm sure, as well.
Thanks. But it's always about, it's okay to move on and, you know, start in a new role somewhere else. Just be honest about why you're
Yes.
moving.
Yep.
And that's what I've always done.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true, isn't it? Because you're
Mm.
allowed to. We all grow and, you know, change direction in life in general. So
Absolutely.
that's same with our career. So yeah, good point. Good point. Um, Alison, before we wrap up, I've got one last question for you. And that would be, if you were starting over today, brand new into the sales space in any industry, really, knowing what you know now, would you change anything and why?
I don't think I would. I think I would change my mindset. And I remember when I was working for Mantra Hotel Group, my boss at the time, he sat me down and he was like, "Where are you in 5 years' time?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, like I'm going to be an EA to someone because I'm really organized. I want to be in the corporate world." And he's like, "No, you're not. You're going to be an account manager. This is the role. This is where I see you." And I was like, "I can't do that. I can't talk to people. I can't present. It's like, what will people think of me?" And he really encouraged me. And now I know where I've gone and the, you know, the relationships I've built and where I am now in my career. And that
Yeah.
little voice, I just wish that I trusted him a little bit more.
And
But
trusted yourself maybe as well.
yeah,
We
well,
all have those doubts
yeah,
around our abilities, don't we?
100%. Still do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny though,
Yeah.
isn't it, what other people see in you that you don't
Yeah.
always see in yourself. And yeah, often they are right. I agree with you. I know I can name a few people in my career too that have said you'll go and do this, and the doubt sets in. So yeah, good piece of advice for anyone
Yeah.
that's starting out. Don't doubt yourself and always back yourself to do anything, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And look, I still call him and he'll still give it to me real. So it's great.
It sounds like you've got some great people in your network that
Yeah.
that offer you some awesome advice, not just over the years, but even to the day. And I think that's important too as you move through your career, is that to have someone who is real and can, you know,
Yeah.
even when you don't want to hear it,
Yeah.
give you that honest feedback.
Absolutely. No, I'm super
Yeah,
lucky. Yeah.
yeah, fabulous. All right, anything else you want to share, Alison? Thank you so much. I think for me that takeaway around authenticity, creating your network is you know, really important, but that relationship piece in a sales role, I think, is the key to anyone who's listening, is just, you know, really fostering those relationships, because we all know that they're not just business now, they're your future business as well, and that's probably more important than the now for
Yeah.
me. So they're my takeaways. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, like I just love working with you. Thank you. And I'm like really chuffed to hear that feedback about the sales process that, you know, I just love doing. So that's really nice.
Probably should
Thanks,
have
Lauren.
shared it earlier.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alison. I really appreciate your time. And no doubt we will talk again soon.
We
But
will.
for everyone else, thanks for joining us on today's Impact and Influence.